Hello and welcome to this Warno 1v1 game played on I think it's called like Lycan or something. Sorry, I did just read it and I've already forgot. Today we've got Gaddafi. It looks like he survived after all, playing 157Y, and he's going up against EJdude playing third Armoured. So we'll go through the deck reviews, obviously a very interesting matchup. Then we'll talk about the map, the matchup, the deployments, and the game. As always, timestamps in the description. Right, so this is the deck review for EJdude, and he's playing as third Armoured, which is an interesting pick on this map, because the map's quite narrow, so it's hard for third Armoured to be outflanked, but at the same time, there's a lot of forest, so I think he's going to struggle to get things done. The deck looks a lot like Skates, which is one we covered a few days ago, Skate versus Axis. We'll go through it tab by tab. I don't play this div too often, so my feedback is limited. First thing, 3 cards of supply I completely agree with, because if you're playing third Armoured, you want a long game so you can get all your tanks, and there are a lot of tanks. Yeah, so 3 cards of supply makes sense. I don't think this thing's very good. It carries... So it's good if you don't have that 30-point truck option, but that 30-point truck option, it carries so much more. It's faster on-road, it's actually slower off-road. It does die more to artillery, but who cares, it's a 30-point truck. So I personally would do it this way round and not bother with these kind of slower vehicles, which, they have their place, but if the 30-point truck is available, you get so much more supply for those 5 extra points, and it's nice and fast, although not actually faster off-road. So, yeah, I mean, either one can work, really. It's not really a big deal. In terms of the CVs, we've got 4 CVs, which is not enough, really. You need more than that, in my opinion. So, oh no, hang on, I'm regarded. There's 7. So, yeah, that's enough CVs. In terms of the transports, bringing this CV in a Bradley does... oh, actually. So, yeah, this is an interesting CV choice, but we'll get to it in the inf tab. In terms of the ones in this tab, I actually really like this, because you can just always buy both of them at the start. You do lose on availability and the speed of the car, but 2 of these is the price of 1 of these. And this div wants to play late anyway. This div's going to be behind for most of the game anyway. At least it should be. So I like this one. In the inf tab, so yeah, ITOs instead of TO2s. Either one can work. The idea is this is more kind of spammable. If it dies, it's not as big a deal. This one kills a lot more, but it's got 2 less availability. So, yeah, it can be interesting. Is that 2-pointer? Okay. Huh. Yeah, so engineers. So I always prefer the satchel engineers, but when Skate plays third Armoured, he does actually bring the engineers flash, and he brings regular engineers. So maybe that can work. But yeah, the engineers with satchels, you know what you're doing with those. You just run them up to the enemy and then they satchel them. It would lose to engineers flash in a 1v1, mainly because the flash would just shoot all its flash and then run off. But yeah, it's I think it's fine, really. I do think you need, like, if you were to bring the flash, I think you would need the regular engineers as well, otherwise it's quite risky. Anyway, 3 cards of Fire Team Dragon in the good Bradleys. I prefer the good Bradley because of the 5 armor. Makes it a lot more survivable, and this is expensive anyway, so you might as well pay for that 5 armor. TOW 2A is slightly better, so this will 2-shot TA BV, whereas this won't. But yeah, it's mainly about the armor, so this can survive a Dragon 2 to the front, which is very useful, and this can't, and it's 75 points, so it helps you against tanks as well to survive the first hit at closer ranges. Anyway, I think one of these should be swapped out for a Fire Team AT4 in a Humvee at 1 vet, and the reason for this is you need, like, flank defense. Sometimes you just need infantry with AT, they're really fast. Obviously this is... this has got satchels. It's actually slower, 50-90. Right, this is 75-100 because it's a Humvee. Yeah, I think it's really good. As a blocking unit, right? It can defend flanks, and if a vehicle drives down that flank, you kill them, that sort of thing. And then the CV, so your CV options aren't great here. Like, this is nice and that's 3 availability. The only issue is it's only 3 strength. Bringing it in the Bradley is interesting. I think he was bringing it in the cheaper one, and I clicked off it and clicked on the more expensive one. You can do what you like, really. I mean, so if I want a CV, generally I don't want to have to pay loads of money for it. But yeah, like, that can be really useful. That's pretty interesting, actually, because then you could just buy 2 of these at the start, and it would be not too more expensive than this. But yeah, you could do what you like. You can bring it in a Bradley if you want. It's just it's going to be more expensive for that CV, and if you need a CV there fast, you might not be able to afford it until the next minute, that sort of thing. But it's supposed to be a slow div anyway. I would pay if I wouldn't go for the middle Bradley. I'd go for the better Bradley. Um, if you want to spam out the cheaper Bradleys, you want it on, maybe not this particular card of Fireteam 84, but yeah, on like this Fireteam lore, you could get some cheaper Bradleys. But I don't think it's worth it, really. I mean, it can work. It's just this div is supposed to be slow, so yeah. Not having the MP patrol is always sad now that they come in the military police vehicle, but you can't really afford it, frankly, on this division. Arty, so self-propelled mortars for smoke, much better than towed mortars for smoke. And then the howitzers, and these have been upvetted. So I'm just trying to think, like, because like nothing else is to availability, so could get an extra helicopter, but like not having the Apaches is kind of rough. 4, 3. It's a bit of a weird one. So yeah, I mean, it can work. You've got 3 cards of supply. It makes sense, and then you should put a CV next to them, and then they're at 2 vet, and then you can get some serious arty stuff going on. Tank tab, so the CV is your anti-infantry alpha down. I used to think you didn't need it on this div, and frankly I still do, but it is very nice against inf. And the Bradleys are expensive anyway, so this is better against Inf, and the Bradley is obviously more of an anti-vehicle kind of multi-role thing. The advantage of this is that there's like some Inf coming towards you. You can just whack them and then just go reverse behind something. You've got to micro them really well because they have no smoke, but it can work basically. Then we've got 6 M1A1s and 5 M1A1HAs, and then the M1A1CV. So it's probably a few too many tanks. I mean, it depends, right? So if you lose in these tanks, basically you should lose the game anyway, simply because you've lost a load of points. But it does make your tank play more forgiving if you can just keep bringing them. But if you look at like how Skate does it, for example, he'll have 1 fewer of these and 2. In fact, yeah, I think this one swapped out for like a HA CV or something. Yeah, so he'll do that, and then that with those 4 points, you can get an extra helo, so an Apache, and you can get an extra plane, so the Phantoms. Don't upvet your fighters. Please don't upvet your fighters. I see people doing it with like those 3 availability ones. There's a case to be made, but the whole game's RNG. If you upvet your fighters and it dies anyway, then you just lose the game. So what's the point in halving your availability for 6% accuracy and 8% ECM, pseudo ECM? So don't do that. So yeah, now this is less forgiving. Another thing you can do, right, is that this is 1 per card at 1 vet. And so for 40 points more, which is it's more, right, because this is 30 points more. No, that is 40 points more as well. Okay, whatever. It is more, right? But you can have a CV tank. How cool is that? Like a CV one of these. It's expensive and people are going to try and kill it anyway. So like you could do that, and then there you go. You've got a few more CVs now, and now you can come back here because like you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you could theoretically get rid of this and run 5, but that's kind of risky. And this is nice for the opener. Or you could say, look, this only has 3 strength and it's just going to die like a moron. I'd rather have the 11 strength one, even if it doesn't have AT, because it's a lot more survivable. So now you could swap this out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you could swap this out for this one, potentially. Or you could just keep this. And, like, honestly, I would do that, and then you've just got these cheap CVs. And you're not forced to pay loads of money for these CVs. Depends how you want to use them, really. Yeah, I mean, it's a little less forgiving, right? But you still actually have 6 M1A1s and 4 M1A1HAs. And if we just get the calculator up, which I don't know if you can see, but change this here. So, right, 315, hang on, plus 275 plus 275, right, times by 2. So that's the M1A1s, okay. Plus 310, plus 310, plus 310, plus 350. It's 3,010 points worth of tanks. You get 260 points a minute. It's 11 minutes worth of tanks. Which you might think, well, yeah, I'm a tank div. But in a 1v1, you need to buy your AA, you need to buy your infantry, you need to buy your arty. Like, this is like... Yeah. So I think that's enough tanks, basically. A quarter of your income is still on tanks. Which is... I mean, heavy tanks, basically, it's like a sniper, and you need everything else around it. You need the recon, you need the AA, long range, short range, you need the fighter cover, you need the helicopter cover. Well, okay, it's useful to have. Did I mention the recon? You need like an infantry screen in front of them at all times. So I think that's still enough tanks, basically. And if you find that you're losing your tanks, it's because you didn't buy enough supporting assets around your tank, basically. Scouts, yeah, and I think it's good to bring it in the 50 cal Jeep because you don't have any airborne forward deployment on this div, so I think you kind of need this. And then this is also flank defense. It's pretty useful now that it's got smoke. Mediocre stealth, you just put it on the flanks at the start. This goes with your tanks, it is quite useful. And then, yeah, recon helo. AA, so this is very normal. Stinger, Pivads, Chaparral. Upvet in the Chaparral, I mean, you've got 3 cards of fighters now, so I guess it can make sense. Otherwise, it just depends how, are you moving it after it shoots? If you move it after it shoots, it should never die. But anyway, the Stingers are what actually kills things. Helis, so Hog, yeah, Cobra, Tow Cobra, and then I just put this Apache here. The Apache is super useful, it's like the heavy tanks, you've got to play super safe with it, or it just dies. So, it's kind of like a late game thing once all the enemy fighters are dead, or whatever, you just got to play super careful with it. And then air, so the reason I put this in here is because if you lose air superiority as this division, you are dead. Because all your pretty little tanks are going to get blown up. So you need 6 fighters. This is really, really, really cost effective since they buffed the Sparrow range, 185 for 5 of the longer range missiles. This is not very good, and it's only 20% ECM, but 5 Sparrows is pretty incredible. It actually shoots further than this. And then, yeah, I always like having a HE bomber in case somebody gets a breakthrough. You just hit him with the bomber. This will not so I figured out why Skate brings this one. It's because it reloads in a minute, whereas this reloads in 2 minutes. So this will reliably kill an infantry squad, but it won't one-shot a tank. This won't one-shot an infantry squad, and it won't one-shot a tank. So I'd rather have this one, frankly. So that's EJdude. Going up against him is Gaddafi. He's playing as 157Y, which is actually a much better div on this map, because 157Y is actually a good div now. And ever since they changed Reservist, it's quite strong. And the map is like very forested. It lends itself quite well to T-55s and lots of infantry and what have you. So we'll go through this tab by tab. 9 CVs in the Logi tab is very interesting. That's a 2-pointer. Okay. It's a lot of CVs. You could do with just getting rid of this actually and just having 6. 9 is a lot. 6 is a comfortable number. These are really weird. So this one, despite... Oh, we'll get to it. Never mind. I was just looking at the CVs. That's a 3-pointer. Yeah, I mean, you can do this. It's just... You can get away with only having 6. It's just what would you get that you really need the 2 points? Nothing, really. So yeah, 3 cards of supply, 2 small trucks, 1 big truck. I think that's fine. In a 1v1, in a team game, you would bring this, but in a 1v1, yeah, that makes sense. And then yeah, the reason this div is OP is because of these reservisti. Because this is so since reservist, the reservist trait got split into reservist and militia, and you see this says reservist and militia, so this is actually a little bit worse than it was before. But these guys are now, you know, they're not too much worse than a regular infantry unit, and they're 8 guys for 30 points with an RPG, and this is 15 for a wheeled vehicle, a wheeled armored vehicle. Obviously, it's reservist, right? But yeah, basically you want as many of these as possible. For starters, this is like trash now, because you're paying more and it's just way worse. As you can see, everything's red. That means bad, right? And you can't vet it. So get rid of that and get the second card of Reservisti. You can go for a third card of Reservisti, but... you don't have to, right? 14 guys for 55 points, but no RPG is a bit of a weird one. You could swap it out for... this flamethrower. So I really like bringing the standard Moto Strelki in the BTR-60 because they've got a nice RPG, obviously very close range. And but yeah, if you compare them to a Reservisti, right? For 15 points, you're losing that Reservist trait and getting a better RPG, but with less range. So it just shows how much better the Reservisti are, right? So that's important. So the 2-point slot, okay. So yeah, I like these guys. This can work. It's just like they're kind of like a meat shield, but you already have a meat shield here. And this is... I mean, this is like very good against infantry, I suppose, just because of how many guns it brings on the target. So yeah, I guess it can work. Reservist Saperi, yeah, you want them at 1 vet, and you want to bring the Usilani. Yeah, like this is also a tanky anti-infantry squad. So yeah, I feel like the Okran of VMF are sort of superfluous to requirements, and it is nice to have a BTR-60 because you know it's got the KPVT. You bring that in the early game. Like when I played 157, I played a few games of it, and I basically the games would end quite fast. Actually, I guess I wasn't against very good players, but yeah, I would swap this out for this simply because if you want a tanky anti-infantry squad, you've got these guys and these guys and these guys. This lot you kind of have to bring. The BTR-70 Commandateur is really cheap now. It didn't used to be, so I guess you should bring it. Because, you know, for 15 points, you get in armor and KPVT and stuff. The advantage of this one is that its threat level is lower, so the enemy won't automatically shoot it. But if this is next to a tank, the enemy should automatically shoot the tank anyway. BMP-1 for 25 points is just absurd. It's the same as the Polish one and the Czech one. This shouldn't be 25 points. And then, yeah, the unspeakable ones. 2 cards of them is interesting. Yeah, you don't get any Conkers. Oh, you don't have the Mayuka here. Yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of this. So, yeah, this can work. And then, yeah, we spoke about the motor Strelki. Arty, so this is a mortar for smoke, and for some reason this particular mortar, which the Czechs get as well, just goes further than all of the mortars in the game. And then the Berig, I don't really think is particularly great. The advantage of it is that it's self-propelled. And then this thing is like a super nice meme, but they fucked something up, right? And now the higher caliber one has the lower HE value. and it fires like a mortar, so it goes straight up, and it fires 2 salvos before it follows the shift Q order. So this is just bad. It's a shame, really, that they sort of gimp it, but well, whatever. This is better if you actually want to bring it. I would advise, right, so it depends how good your micro is. If your micro is not that great, bring the 2 Berrigs and just shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, right, queue up all the orders. If your micro is good, bring 2 of these. And then this can just shoot, and then you have to queue up the move order. It's obviously a lot better at shooting people, right? A lot better, but it's not self-propelled, so you gotta babysit it all day, which is quite annoying. Because I'm trying to get you 3 points here, basically, and that's so you can put it here. So it's not so bad. I mean, it's heat, right? I think so. That's a kinetic round. So this thing's pretty good, and the main thing though is this. So you need some fast ATGMs, right? To get around the sides, and look how fast it is, and it just rattles them all off. Send it around the sides. It's got good stealth, so I think you need this. I think you need this. The TO-55, yes, is very good. This is a tank of some description. It can survive a Milan 2. Yeah, it can. It can survive a Milan 2. What are you paying for here? Smoke and for 15 points for smoke. It's probably worth it, actually, yeah, so that makes sense. TO-55, yeah, that's a must-bring. And then these are obviously must-brings. You need 2 cards of these. I think, if I remember correctly, I actually bring these at no vet, just so I can rattle off the ATGMs. But, frankly, 8 tanks, like, this is still a lot of tanks, so maybe it does make sense to bring it at 1 vet. It's just, the idea is they should just be shooting from ATGM range. And I guess that's why you didn't bring this, because you're like, well, I've got ATGMs, but this has bad stealth, this has good stealth, and you just send it around the sides, especially through all those forested areas. You just get it all the way around, and you just rattle them off on the enemy's reinforcement road and just kill all his stuff. It's very funny. This can do something similar, right? Send it through the forest. But yeah, just keep in mind, this is if you can micro, this is if you can't micro. You don't need loads of howitzers in a 1v1. Recon, so Razvedka, reservist. It's kind of an expensive slot. So like, this is a really funny meme, and it's got very good optics, but if you've got this one for the tanks, for exceptional optics, right, and you've got these, you don't actually need this, and then that gives you 3 points, which you can spend on some more tanks, or you can come back and fulfill your infantry desires, or you can, put something here. Just looking at it. Or you can bring the recon helo, which is super useful, actually, having a recon helo. So yeah, these guys, you don't have any airborne forward deployment, so they're going to be first onto the fight, and they're fighting recon, and so you should upvet it, basically, because you need to secure that ground while the rest of your blob shows up. These guys are meant to just be like a cheap kind of ambush unit, give cheap recon, whatever, so they can be cheap. And yeah, you can bring it in this if you want, to give them additional optical power, get your recon out on the map. AA, so the Strela 3 is kind of ass. Some people do really like manpads. The Krug I feel like you have to bring, and just hope it hits. This thing is... Look, this is really good against infantry. So what did I spend those 3 points on? The recon helo. It is nice to have a recon helo. It is nice to have a recon helo. You need to shoot people with this. It's so useful. And so, I didn't get it. It was a fly. It is so good against infantry. You need this somewhere. And so you need to lose some to put this in. You can either... I think you should have this, really. This one can go. I mean, if you've been getting by without a recon helo to begin with, you got lots of ground recon. It's just so useful, because if the enemy breaks through, you need a recon helo to track them, so It's useful. This, you do need man pads, in my opinion, because of stuff, right? This is, actually, this is trash against healers, isn't it? Because it goes 2-1-2-5. So, that's not great anyway. So, yeah, if the enemy Apache comes, you're going to have a big problem. But if you ran this at him, he'd probably kill you anyway, because you don't have the range. So, yeah, you need this so you can kill all infantry ever. It's very, very funny. It's very, very funny. So, you need that. And then helis, so it says phalangers on it, and a lot of small rockets. It's 5 points more. It's actually got the same number of rockets, 267, 200. So I think this will shoot. That's 32 salvo length. So what's going on there? I mean, obviously this says it shoots at the same, shoots a lot faster because all three of these will shoot at once, even though it's still 3 pylons. But whatever. I mean, yeah, the phalangers are nice. And then the air tab. Yeah, this thing's stupid. You need it. Yeah, so basically this one's better because it's because of the guns. So you can use it to strafe infantry, and like basically this is for anti-helo. This is for what exactly? It's just like a bad anti-plane. Like this can also shoot healers, but these two are both only against planes, and it's going to shoot them, and then what? So this is your anti-plane. This is like a sort of anti-plane, but not really. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. They added the second rack of missiles, so this is also an anti-helo, and it's 3 per card. It's not as fast. It's probably better against healers, actually, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, since this went... Because this just used to be 1 rack, and they made it 2. So this is your... When the Apache comes, right? This... so yeah, you want that. And then, okay, the Rocket 2 is very nice. You can basically do a very funny opener now with the Recon Helo, where you open with 1 or 2 of these, depending on if you think the enemy's going to open ASF. If he is, you open 2. And then you open with 1 of these, and this, and you just kill your whole enemy's deployment with this thing. This can 1-pass a heavy tank. It's pretty good. This is also nice. I mean... It's just, I guess you don't have many other options here. 2 AP. But yeah, you could come back and do some arty thing, I guess. It's a shame this is only 1 card, because if it was 2, I would probably bring 2 of these upverted or something, but this isn't that great, to be honest. 2 AP. You could bring your 9th CV rather than this. So that's actually worth looking into. Because, like, what... The chances of you getting this off, basically your enemy just has to not have any AA, because it has to fly right over them to drop the cluster. And it drops it from quite high up, if I remember, so I just don't think it's that great. And then there you go, now you've got your 10 Gorillion AA CVs. And you can do your funny swarm thing with your CVs. I actually think having 3 more of those is more useful than having this. Anyway, that's enough deck yappage. Now I'll talk about the map, the matchup, the deployments, and the game. And as always, timestamps in the description. Right, so with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the map. Basically, the map's kind of narrow, which helps 3rd Armoured, because 3rd Armoured wants to play across a narrow front, build up all that AA, build up all the supporting assets so that they can get the tanks out. But the map is also very forested, which helps 157Y a lot, particularly if you can use the smoke. Right, there's not very many places where those tanks can get max range shots. Like here, I guess. Something like here. Here is the big one. Here to here, yeah, like so mainly in mid. But if 157Y can, and on this side too, I suppose. But in general, I think this map favours the more scrappy divisions. Especially if you can use the smoke, right? Because if you just smoke up here, then red can just run all the way through, and then, you know, smoke there, you can move through, right? It's quite easy to block the LOSs with the smoke, so that does help red, and red just has a, like, if red plays around this forest into Foxtrot, right? So yeah, that's sort of map and matchup discussion, I guess. if red plays more around this forest, he can just pump a load of infantry into here. You'll notice that this reinforcement road is on this road, whereas this reinforcement road is on this road, not that road, which means that if red gets some infantry in here, he can just get it round there, kill everybody as they come in, kill everybody as they come in, kill everybody as they come in. You send the healer or whatever, you've got some spag. We know he has the wheeled spag, not the toad spag. Either one will do it, right? You just sit in here, healer flies over you, you kill him. T-55's really nice around this area. So that's what you'd expect red to do, to push over here, and you'd expect blue to play more around, because he gets alpha, right? And then he should play more around delta, I suppose, with his more limited infantry, right? Because if you use these forests, you can get the tanks up to here, you should be able to secure delta. So let's have a look at the deployments. We've got some Razvedka here. Keep in mind, neither side has airborne forward deployment. It's quite refreshing, especially like with the South actives. Most of them don't get airborne forward deployment, apart from like sniper teams. Most of them don't get it. I'm trying to think about how many do. Most of them don't, and it is more refreshing to see, because that's just like it was just basically a design crutch. Everybody gets airborne forward deployment. here's your airborne who would just happen to be there in your division, right? So most of the base game divs have airborne forward deployment, right? And it's nice to see the game moving away from that. And with the map design, because like the maps would play into that problem, because if the map is just here's your zone, open fields everywhere, then whoever gets there first is going to win, right? And the zone is like a +2, +3. But as the maps have become more covered, like this is a very nice map, I do like it. It would be cool to get like, you know, another 1v1 cut here, another 1v1 cut here. There's no reason for them to just have one 1v1 cut per map. I feel like it's kind of a low effort way to, you know, you make one map, you can use it in lots of different ways. Because making a map takes ages, making a cut of a map does not. I say that as somebody who's made a cut of a map. If you remember the infamous Peace Windmill stream. Anyway, yeah, so I can't remember what I was saying. BTR-40's coming over here. Yeah, it was about the airborne forward deployment, but I think I'd finished the point. 2 unspeakable ones. Is there a church in this town? Don't see it. It's just the tall buildings can see further. Right? So are these actually classed as tall? Oh, no, it's not, because they're still being obscured by the building in front. That is a nice building. Sort of an obvious one, though. Yeah, so he's going for more of, like, flanking shots, I guess. And then in mid, we've got... Keep in mind, he has these at no vet. So 3 reservist Razvedka. They shouldn't be at no vet, really. The big squad should not be at no vet. Another unspeakable one. 2 T-55As. A fighter at the start. Interesting, because his opponent's done the same, but he upvets his Eagles, which... Don't do that, guys. Reservist Razvedka, BTR-40, and 2 more ATGMs. So, it's interesting decision-making from Red, actually. You would expect to see a big T-55 opener at the start. You know, defend this, put a bit of defense here, and just like slam into something at the start, because he's strongest at the start, and the longer the game goes on, the stronger third's going to get, because he's going to get all his AA, because it's quite a narrow map. So, you know, you don't have to buy a huge amount of AA. Obviously, you should bring a little bit more than you think you need, is generally the idea. And then he can start printing out the M1A ones. Switching to his opponent's deployment. We've got, yeah, so scouts for the left for Foxtrot. These M150 tow launchers, I spoke about them in the deck review, really nice. That one, not sure what's going on there. He will have deleted a unit here with this selected, and then it will have given that the order, because that's obviously not the plan. So yeah, this one was probably coming over here or something. So they're really nice at holding ground early. It's like a tow, smoke, and a 50 cal for 40 points, and mediocre stealth and good optics. It's really nice. And then, yeah, for the left we have 1 stinger. For mid we've got, you know, another scout, 2 helos, recon helos. It's interesting, actually. He's got the eagle. I wonder if we're going to see a a bomber opener or something. Typically, if you've got the fighter and the recon helo, you should have an attack helo or a bomber. Opening bomber as this div is a bit weird, but you do see people open like Apache, Scout, Eagle. That's one that you can do. But as we know from the deck review, he hasn't actually brought any Apaches. Stinger, Bradley, Chaparral, CV. Only one CV. I would have opened two. They're 40 points for a reason, right? So you just open one for... Oh, actually, yeah. You open one for Foxtrot Delta, maybe, but then it's got to come like down. One for Alpha Charlie Delta would be my... Yeah. And then one for Foxtrot, and then presumably Delta if it... if the other one dies or whatever. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, he doesn't have much on the board, and that's because he's third armored. So let's cast the game. Right, so they're off, and it's time for me to thank the generous channel joiners, generously joiner in the channel. They get their names on the screen, they get their videos early, they get members exclusive videos. So there's the SU-25. It should have been the rocket one, really. Oh, and there's the bomber. One joined at the lowest level is worth 2,000 views, so if you're feeling bad about your ad block, you can, and so on and so. So he should have turned into this. He should have turned into this. Okay, so he did turn into it. But he didn't turn into it well enough, because he could have got a bunch of rounds off it. So the scouts getting taken out by the BTR-40s because they do have, like, this is actually a spag. But yeah, this guy's still around, so he should try and get something. Got to come up for a solid run here, otherwise he's going to soak up a bunch more rounds from this thing, and he'll probably evac. Probably won't kill him, right? And yeah, the scout just revealing for the bomber, I suppose. So it's an easy pick off there. Yeah, I mean, it worked. He got quite a lot out of that. So, an interesting start. I mean, from what I understand, both of these guys are friends, and so, did I finish my shilling yet? At the highest tier, you get your games cast at a rate of 1 per calendar month. So, if you're feeling bad about your ad block, no, I already said that. Anyway, oh, that's not a good idea. Don't buy a 180 point arty piece in minute 1. That's not great. Basically, he should have bought a bunch more T55s. So essentially, this division is going to be strongest early, and the longer it goes on, the weaker it's going to get comparative to its opponent as those M1A1HAs come in. And like, so Bradleys aren't too useful on this map, actually. I mean, you kind of have to bring them, but maybe like a CEV could be useful. But the idea is the Bradley's basically always going to be in tank gun range, like that. As you can see, it doesn't die because it's got that 5 armor, but it would die in 2 hits anyway. Yeah, I would have bought the 2 CVs maybe. But yeah, I think Red's kind of missing a trick here. Essentially, he is going to be strongest in the forest spaces, and so here is like a huge place for Red to attack, but that's where he's put the fewest units. He's focusing on mid, which means he's basically playing Blue's game, because Blue wants to fight here. It's the open, that's where he's strongest. He can get his toe 2s and so on. Like, I suppose a Bradley would be useful, because like here's not great, because the guys in this forest can shoot. And then yeah, also Red, he needs to move up with these T55s, get the shots coming. Put the pressure on. The Berrig will take time to pay off, basically. The reason you don't buy arty at the start is because you lose a lot of momentum. And you'll note that Blue, with the slower div, actually is winning, because he bought a CV at the start, and his opponent hasn't, and the way you can fix that is to buy 2, right? And I would love to see some smoking out from Red, but essentially he wants to use the forests. I mean, he could just push this at the start with the T55s, because he's got the recon and he could kill this, but these 2 more Bradleys are here now, it gets kind of tough. Another place he could attack is here, get all the infantry into this forest, right? And then once you get to here, where you get your T55s up, if the ATGMs are giving you a hassle, you just get a bit closer and you show up here. So Red's units are a lot cheaper, right? Also, he kind of opened with the wrong tank. Yeah, you want to open with this one. Actually, I suppose it costs more. Yeah, never mind. I'll take that back. They've both got the same gun on them, and this actually costs more now. It used to be like 80, but I haven't looked at it in a while. I guess it's 100 now. Anyway, you see that the T-55s beat the Bradleys at this range. Because the whole point of the Bradley is that they've got the long-range ATGMs, and that's not what's happening here. You know, we're not in Desert Storm, but the TOW2s do one-shot the T-55A, so he got a little bit greedy there. He wanted to wait for that next shot, and that cost him. That cost him dearly. And he needs to smoke immediately. That's why he's got the smoke once. So yeah, I think it probably was a good idea to open with these, because they both have the same armor. The flamethrower isn't too useful here. I mean, it's nice to have one, right? SU-25's up from before, and that's going to clean up some Bradleys here. So that was some good kills there. Blue's AA was being hit at the same time. This thing we spoke about in the deck review, I'm not sure this is a useful purchase, frankly. But yeah, the bomber's back up for Blue. This fighter fires its 2 missiles and they don't do anything. It feels nice to be vindicated. Wow, it survived. So, yeah, I prefer the other one, especially now that the other one is like a shotgun ASF, which I think I don't really agree with that change, but... Oh, actually, this actually hasn't fired yet. Still trying to shoot it. Interesting. Gets hit by a stinger there. And, yeah, Blue's on that +3, and, yeah, I think Red's really kind of... I don't know what's going on here. He should be winning. Particularly at the start. He's got the expensive Bradleys, right? It's just infantry here. But he forgot to buy another CV. So, like, this is a +2. This is a +2. So, when I said before you should go Alpha, Charlie, Delta, that was wrong, actually, because this is a +2. So I think you should have go 1 for Foxtrot Delta and 1 for Charlie Alpha. Yeah, because the reservisti, like the infantry potential for Red is much higher than Blue. I mean, Blue does have infantry, right? And the dragons are actually pretty useful on this map because the range is you get lots of opportunities to be in range. So that is nice. But yeah, he's just kind of barreling into mid. You know, like, what's the plan here? He needs to unload these guys. He's going to lose them in the transports. Okay, there we go. But yeah, if like, okay, so let's say he came in from this way, and he unloaded them here with like a T-55 behind. He could just sweep this through. But instead he's just kind of blobbed it, and I mean, it is working, but he's losing a lot of guys, and... Okay, HA purchase. So I would have probably bought an M1A1 first. And then 2 RT? You don't want to buy 2 RT at once. Particularly, like, if literally nothing's happening, go for it. But, you know, you're being pushed in the middle, and now he's bought, you know... It's not something you want to do. I mean, buying 1 RT piece at this point, that's fair enough. But buying 2 at once means that you basically don't have any income for 2 minutes. And meanwhile, there's a bunch of reservists running towards you, and this guy literally can't shoot enough. He can't shoot fast enough to kill him. Although Red is blobbing a lot, probably be a good spot for a hog here. Right, so let's say instead of these 2, he bought, you know, 1 hog, 2 engineers, a CV, a Bradley. You know, think about what would happen to all this. It would all just die, right? Maybe another stinger. But, yeah, what can I say? Eagle, 2 vet, if you recall. If you're Red, it's kind of a weird trade-off because you want to get that Krug out, but you don't want to lose your momentum. Like, look at this. This basically should have happened 5 minutes ago. You see that Blue just can't stand up to it. He just can't shoot them fast enough. Even if they're all just blobbing towards him, he just doesn't have the firepower because this, you know, this is... It'll one-shot any vehicle, right, more or less. Obviously not some of these tanks, but... It'll do a lot of one-shotting of light vehicles and so on, but it's still going to take it 8 shots to kill this. And it doesn't have that. Keep in mind that this one does actually have longer range than the Eagle. Because this is the AMRAAM 7775, and this is the... like, the Sparrow now has this range, but still has less accuracy. Yeah, it's an interesting way of balancing the game. But... yeah, so this can just sort of... Okay, it's got 4 of them, so it can just sort of shoot 1 and then go back, shoot 1 and then go back. And then if he dives, then you hit him with everything, I suppose. But yeah, even though he's not really microing it well, you see that he is just completely overwhelming the third Armoured player. This thing is having a bit of a rough time. And, okay, so he closes range. He gets the bomber. He might lose the TOC here. Eagle didn't go in. The Eagle didn't go in. Stinger did hit him there. Yeah, if the Eagle had just chased behind him there, like, you don't have to worry about this. I mean, it might hit you, but Eagle should have gone in there. And, okay, another TOC has been purchased, so Red's air game is pretty much on point here. Although he did... I suppose that ran out of stuff. He does need, like, a bit of ground-based AA. He's got, like, one Strela. Anyway, this thing was getting shot. He should have... It was too close. Look, it can't use the rocket, so it's going to die. So he should have got that back. Has he loaded this back up or something? Oh, no, it's a vehicle. And he's left the zone before capping it. Okay. But you'll know that, like, Blue... Obviously, it would have been way better for him if he hadn't bought these two arty pieces here. But Blue just couldn't shoot them fast enough. But yeah, Red making some interesting decisions with his units. He's just losing a lot of guys to just sort of driving into the enemy. ATGM's coming in here. Would love to see some smoke from the Red player because he basically can't kill this unless Blue totally fucks up and he can get a bomber on it. This just shouldn't die. So you can obscure it with smoke, right? Also, when you buy a unit, right, you click up here, click your unit, you click Y, and then you click on your screen, and then it will unload when it gets to the position automatically. You don't have to remember to do it, which is what's happened here. So he didn't, you know, remember to do it, and now he's unloading it. So yeah, click up here, click Y, and then click where you want it to go. You can also do F for fast move. The default is an attack fast move, unless it doesn't have, you know, weapons. You can also spawn them backwards if you want by pressing G, but I'm not sure why he would want to do that. But look, this is the sort of thing that happens if... Whoa, I mean, if he'd got into that building there, it'll be a front shot though, so it won't do anything. Yeah, so he needs to get out of this building right now, or he's going to die. Okay, he chose death. Oh, no, I see why he did it. He wanted to keep vision for this. And there you go. That's sort of the scenario we talked about. He fucked up and the plane got on it. So, yeah, you know... Oh, wow, that was a crit there. Crit killed that. Not sure it would have died otherwise, actually, but who knows. So, yeah, that's the issue with the HAs. And it goes back to the deck review where I said you got a lot of HAs here, but if you're kind of frivolous with them, then there's the need to have lots. But yeah, basically that should have had infantry in front of it, and it should have had, well, yeah, basically like why are the less important tanks behind the more important tank? It's sort of counterproductive to what you would think to real life, because in real life, of course, your most armored vehicle should be first because that's going to get hit, and the guys are going to survive. But you just need to keep in mind that in Warno, you don't care about the lives of your soldiers, or at least you shouldn't. I mean, they're not real. And even if they are, they're just Americans. Sorry. So yeah, you... And then if you think about it from that perspective, then you arrive at more of the meta mindset, which is that, well, the infantry's cheaper. It takes longer to kill 8 infantry than it does to kill, you know, 8 light vehicles. Well, I suppose it's about the same amount. But yeah, like 8 infantry in one squad is obviously going to tank a lot more. And so you just send them first. And it's kind of a perverse incentive. And that's obviously the issue with mapping video games onto real life. Because yeah, in real life, if I recall correctly, in Desert Storm, they told the French to go take the flank because their tanks weren't armoured enough. And so the Brits and the Americans were doing the armoured stuff. In the center, because they're the only ones who had, because they had the most armored vehicles, right? Whereas in Warno, you would send the French first because they're faster, and so who cares if they die, right? You would get there faster, and you would cap the square in the middle of the map, and then you would win. And but that's not how the world works, right? But in Warno, it's a very different equation. It's just because you don't care about the lives of your men, or at least you definitely should not. They are not real. That allows you to make different decisions. I've noticed he's got auto sell off as well, or something. Actually, no, I don't think he does. What's happening here is that because he moved it after giving it the initial move order, it's just doing that. So Eagle 2-vet, no AA, just cleans him up. I don't really recommend 2-vetting the Eagles, but there it worked. And yeah, you see, basically, this is sort of what I was advocating for Red to do, although I said, like, here would be nice. And he should now do it here, basically. He should just do the same thing here. Yeah, if you just run it in with all the infantry, typically with some smoke, right? A smoke mortar to smoke off all the tanks. There's lots of... Like, this was probably the worst place on the map to do it. He could have done it here with much more success. Came through here and ran across and, like, you know, around here and across. Or he could have done it down here using the forest. So he did it in the hardest part of the map, but it did work. And now he's just kind of sitting there because he's on the +1. But that's not what you want to do against 3rd Armoured, because 3rd Armoured is going to keep buying the tanks, he's going to keep buying the tanks, keep buying the tanks, and so you want to attack in other places. I mean, this is... So now you're going to say, yeah, but Hippie, look, no, he's attacking, he's dying. Yeah, but this is like 3 recon units. You want a bit of AA here, and you want to use the infantry, and you want to get around here. Typically, when you do an attack, you want to kind of surprise the enemy. Obviously here, you know, the element of surprise was definitely lost. It turned into a bit of a brawl. But so if you want to attack this flank, you don't want to send 1 recon unit and then it dies, and then you wait for everybody else to show up, and then you send them in. Because now he will reinforce this, and you can see that happening in real time, because you're, oh crap, there's not enough people here. He's trying to attack here. I better move some guys over, you know, better buy some helicopters and what have you. So yeah, it's about the surprise. I mean, if you get drawn into a long, drawn-out fight, obviously some divs are better at dealing with that than others. Is he just gonna... I mean, send this forwards, try and shoot it with the tank, maybe. Are they... I mean, What? That's not really what should have happened there, but okay. The wonders of Warno. And this is the issue, right? Goes back to the perverse incentives idea. So now, Mr. Gaddafi will be like, wow, it works. I can take on the Americans. And he's learnt the wrong lesson there, because the game has reinforced what was an incredibly poor decision-making. He should not have tried to duel that Chaparral with his phalangers, because you saw how slow the missiles are. And, yeah, he just got lucky there. He got super lucky. And like using the arty was the right idea. So like you see, oh, he shoots you, you just run away straight away, and then yeah, you call the arty on it. You shift Q and move order on the arty, because otherwise you might get counter batteried. So yeah, and the game has reinforced that poor decision making. So now he will be more likely to do it again next time. But it wasn't the right thing to do. And sometimes you do get punished for doing the right thing as well. And that's why I don't really like RNG. Although, I mean, life does work like that, I suppose. Sometimes you do the right thing, and it doesn't work out. But I play games to get away from real life, so why would I want to bring the worst parts of it in here, right? So, yeah, the Krugs have been brought up. There is a seed that 3rd Armoured does get. He's not brought it, as we know. So they could be left switched off. Although they do have mega range, and the Wild Weasel's nothing special. So what you can do is get this and send it next to your Berrig, right? Click this, Shift F, click on your Berrig. Now your Berrig's 1 vet. It's not doing anything here, right? And there you go, the Krugs have fired, and now you should move the Krugs. Don't leave them there, because now he should immediately try and arty those. And what you do, because it fires so fast and it's hard to remember the position, you just hit F1 and click. Hit F1 click, hit F1 click, he's moving them, that's good. Hit F1 click, hit F1 click, and then that will mark that position. Okay, so he's going for these houses. So what does blue do in this situation? Yeah, good question. Basically, I think attacking over the open makes the most sense, and so he should try and force it like kind of this way. So another thing you can do is put some infantry in here and try and move them up, but that obviously won't work out because Red's got the better infantry. So yeah, you want to, for starters, you know, your heavy tank, if you buy it, because it doesn't die in 1 hit, unless you miss micro and it gets side armored or something. You should always be like sending it forward, shoot once, gets hit once, send it back, repair, get your cohesion back, send it forward, shoot once, you know. And you just, because you've bought it, you want it to be working for you. Because that's the only way it's ever going to pay for itself, if it gets loads and loads of kills. And so, like, waiting to do, like, a big armoured blob like in Desert Storm, right? It doesn't oh yeah, I was gonna say, got to be a reverse order there. He gave it standard move order. Waiting to do a big armored push, like it can work. It's just it's not what you want to do. So there's a couple of videos on my channel actually. One is me versus Skate, because Skate basically only plays third armored at the moment. He's got like 270 games as third armored, so it's probably the best person to learn from. And before that, he was playing another heavy tank div, 119Y. And so he buys the heavy tank, and he's got one against me, one against Axis. Recent games on the channel. I'll link them in the description if I remember. If I don't, please do remind me, because I never remember to do these things. And yeah, he will buy the heavy tank, and he'll move it forward, shoot once, move it back, move it forward, shoot once, move it back. The CVs are really good for that as well. They are slow, but the shoot once is really quite effective against infantry. And so he'll basically just play for trades for like 20 to 30 minutes. Because, yeah, just sitting there and building up doesn't make sense, because your enemy is also building up. So, you've got these things that can survive a hit. So you want to be using them. You want to be sending it forwards, shooting once, and sending it backwards. It's obviously like a practice thing, because if you're not if you're not looking, then... and yeah, the accuracy of these goes up with reduced range. So it is not 30% accuracy when he's there. I don't know if it goes up to 60. If it's not really linear. It's on like a pseudo exponential curve. So at close range it's 100, but that's a good side shot there. So yeah, Red, he's got the right idea here, but there should be like way more infantry in here. There should be infantry coming around here. There should be infantry moving through here. There should have been infantry coming around here. Blue can try the same thing, like sneak a fight, because as we spoke about Fire Team 84s, they do the same thing. Get one round to here, shoot guys as they come in. That guy is just attacking there for some reason. Interesting. Okay, so big armored push happening here. What? Okay, it's going for the truck. And yeah, what's Red's answer to this? There should be a fighter up. It's just run out of fuel. That is really bad news, man. Because, well, here come the clusters. RT is a good idea, but yeah, the ATGMs, they don't do too much. So the main idea is to try and get side shots. So that, imagine if that guy also had 2 T-55s here. Wouldn't that be cool? They'd be shooting across. So yeah, these clusters generally don't work. You see target switch there, so it didn't drop. The other one did, and it got a lot. But yeah, this one, well, he needs to... Yeah, well, it's just not going to drop now. He should have sent it all the way away and tried to bring it back in again, but at least it didn't die. That's a shame, really. He could have killed these. But he changed the target, and then it couldn't do it properly. So that's not fantastic. So, yeah, the tanks mostly survive. I think he lost a Bradley and maybe one tank. He lost something other than the Bradley. But yeah, he needs... I was going to say he needs recon. He had that Bradley. Bradley's dead, right? So, get a recon infantry up to here. And Blue could also use smoke mortars. So, Red should be getting flanking shots off. And that's where Blue's smoke comes in, because then you smoke off the flanking units, or you smoke off the main force so you can kill the flanking units, take your pick. But, yeah, Red's ran into the problem that, his ATGMs deal, like, 1 damage to this. The main thing is the planes, right? And the T-55s at close range will do quite a bit. So, sort of the same problem as last time here. Yeah. So, what can I say? The pivads should have been with the tanks, I suppose. Behind the tank. You can just click this, Shift F, and it will follow the tank around. The reason you press F is because it should be on a fast move order. Actually, I suppose you want Shift N. Yeah, Shift N for attack fast move. Otherwise, it won't shoot, because it's got to stop to shoot, right? I suppose it would shoot on 7%. But... yeah, Shift N for the pivots, and then just click on the tank. It'll follow the tank around. You do get a problem with it sometimes, where some vehicles will like bump into the back of the other vehicles, and then the front vehicle won't be able to smoke in time because it's been pushed from the back one. It gets kind of bad if like somebody starts a fire under you or something, but generally it's not a problem. But yeah, look at this. The tanks are coming in. Red's killing them, but Blue's got more. Sort of goes back to like we spoke about how I was building the deck. And I said you don't need that many tanks, but if your tanks are dying so much, And then, I guess, you know, there's a case to be made for, like... Because I was playing Steel Division 2 recently, and, well, you don't want to blob up like this, because one ATGM is obviously cohesioning everybody, and, like, one cluster will kill you, and so on. Obviously, it's like a micro thing, right? But yeah, I had this problem playing SD2 where this guy was like, "Oh, just get everything in the B phase and like rush in the B phase because you can get extra income at certain points of the game and stuff." I was like, "Look, just isn't going to work for me because I can't pull that off, and all I'm going to do is just sabotage my late game, and I won't be able to take advantage of the mid game push because it takes me longer to do stuff because I'm not as good at the game as you are." And so that's, you know, it's hard to give advice that's like 100% effective, right? Because I'm saying, well, look, just bring this because it works for me. One thing I have noticed is that I really like bringing self-propelled artillery as opposed to towed stuff. And it's like, oh, well, if you're super good, you can load it back up. Listen, I'm super good, right? And it's still a waste of my time to load it back up. I would rather pay even up to 100 points more just for a self-propelled version of the same arty piece. Obviously, it's not always possible. Anyway, the tanks are paying dividends here. He needs recon with them. Like, he needs to send this Bradley up with them because they just can't see anything, so that they're not really engaging from max range. And look at some side shots here. You see how effective that is. But yeah, Red's response has been... So, like, this can kill those because it's the Rocket 3. Probably should have gone on this one first because the splash and so on. You see, like, he is killing them. Blue really needs to move his... Like, these should be engaged, these should be engaged. Get this scout up to here, you know, you can't see anything. You'd fighter cover. But yeah, it's very difficult to micro everything at once. And that's something I often forget because I have so many hours in this game. There you go, he got the bombs off this time. He's trying to move out the way. I think he'll get out of the way. These are quite fast tanks, 65 kilometers an hour. Same speed as the AMX-10 race car, off-road. And yeah, it's sort of working out for him. I mean... it's an interesting gameplay. Basically, like, neither player's really doing much flanking. So, like, once he got up to here, you know, Gaddafi could have put some T-55s in here. And imagine what would have happened to these guys if they charged down the main road, they get side shot. Same with this. He got a recon up to here. He's like, there's nobody here. Take the space. Use the space. And then, you know, put an ATGM in here. Put a couple tanks in here. You know? But... yeah, Blue's kind of got the same problem that he's not trying to work the flanks either, and so he is getting sort of exposed like that. I mean, that was a lot of rockets, right? And it was the CV, so Red's going to be back on that +1. But he is behind. He is behind. He could send... because, yeah, you can put this next to the AA as well, and it will buff it up. Right, put it next to the CVs so it can shoot more. But yeah, basically Blue needs a lot more screening infantry here. Like, so these shoot guys, you want infantry in front of them to spot the targets and take the hits. But it is sort of working out for him anyway. Mainly because, like, Red's tank positions are a bit not great. And he went mainly for... So ATGMs are good at long range. They're not good at short range. So T-55s is a better shout here, actually. Particularly, you know, if you can get them in these... So, like, that 2,800 meter Ranger one would actually be, like, perfect here. And then the regular ones could go here. And you see that when he does shoot it from the side, he's getting stuff done. It's just he's mainly... You know, this is the only reinforcement road either player's using. They're not using the rest of the map. And that does give third the advantage because it wants to play narrow, and these guys are playing hyper narrow. But look, some side shots, and you see how effective the T-55s are at close range. You know, you're not on the big open desert plain. Obviously, you know, look at that, because they're getting side shots, right? They're actually killing them, and it's just because, obviously, you know, America #1, whatever, but the whole advantage is in the range. At close range, anything kills anything, and so you want the cheaper one. Right, but you know that they are one-shotting them, right? It's just these guys are two-shotting these, whereas at max range, this wouldn't even be able to shoot this. So it is. So yeah, good play from Red using that close range. It's just a shame that his country was like a big open desert, so he couldn't take advantage of this, you know. Meanwhile, in the forests of Europe, he's got a much better chance of it. So, yeah, blue needs to get the C. I mean, there's one right here, right? Never forget your RTCV. You can just send that in and then quickly buy the other one for the RT, right? And it'll get in that much faster. So the Krugs will eventually hit this, basically. It's just a matter of time. It's just obviously it has 40% ECM, the highest in the game, unmodded. These guys, like, this especially needs to move. If I had the berries, I would just shoot that and it would die. Yeah, he needs to get some infantry, because once you've taken ground, you use infantry to secure that ground, and that is realistic. So, so yeah, you've taken all this, then you get your infantry in there, and then next time he doesn't surprise you. You know, he has brought up a little bit of AA, he should bring up a bit more. Get the supply going, he needs recon, right? But red is still on that +1, mainly because blue hasn't. Okay, so he's bought a CV, but yeah, he could have just sent this one in. And then, you know, bought this later and swapped them round, or just bought another one for the RT, right? And bought another cheap one for the RT. So yeah, interesting playstyle from both players. But, you know, you got to appreciate that most people don't have 3,000 hours in this, because they go outside. Or even if they just play other games, right? So I think this is still above average play, frankly. Sadly, you do get these guys who are like top ranked and they just say, I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad, and it's not shut. But the game sold 300,000 copies. So if you're even on the ranked ladder, you're better than a lot of people. You're probably in like the top 10-20%. How many names are on the ranked ladder? Maybe 30,000 out of 300,000, right? And so if you're even on the ladder, you're in the top 10% of all players. If you even play multiplayer, you're probably in the top half. Like, most strategy game players never leave single player. It's a really interesting thing, actually, because that's why you get these guys and like, we want the esports audience, we want the esports audience, and the game just dies. Why? Because single player matters more. And Warno launched without single player, because that was part of the early access thing. And that was a big mistake, in my opinion. Obviously, it was early access, right? Launching without the SP, I think, was a mistake. I think they should have launched with at least a little bit of SP. Right, even if it's just some scripted single-player missions, just a few things, and say, look, more's coming. I don't know, I mean, it still sold 300,000 copies, right? Anyway, big air wave coming in here from Gaddafi with the Su-25s. Eagle is up, but will it be able to kill all of these? Probably not. And this thing is incredible, because it's got 3 banks of rockets and the gun, and it will just kill this. See? Don't... Oh, he got evac'd. It got evac'd. It could have got it, man. It could have got it. Oh, wow, okay, so this guy... Oh, okay. I was going to say, this guy got out. It's quite impressive. But yeah, the Eagles go down because like, there's Krugs here and everything. That was a big airwave there. I mean, the game is reaching its end, so people get a little bit more aggressive with the units. And yeah, I think that was something of a last hurrah for Red. But, you know, he literally could have just smoked the whole map and ran a CV in and ran it around in circles. But, oh well. So yeah, really interesting plays. This probably approached a more realistic scenario than you would see in Warno, simply because the blue player didn't want to use his infantry as meat shields. But if you want to win, you got to use your infantry as meat shields. So just keep that in mind, right? You don't have to worry about, oh, Johnny's never making it home or whatever, and you might get voted out in the next election. Do you know what I mean? The incentives are different in this game. So yeah, impressive play from blue. I actually thought once red pushed him out, see, he did really well at the start, and then red eventually was like, wait a minute, I can just spam infantry, and took the whole thing. And then, yeah, what red should have done is, you know, put a bunch of tanks here and here, basically. Would have helped him a lot. Moved up the AA. Used the map, right? He should be playing wider. He should be attacking here. He should be attacking here. And that all comes with, you know, increased micro and so on. So, yeah. It looks like blue's going to take it. I don't see how he can, don't see how red can really do much anyway. I mean, he's got 9 CVs. We know that much. He can send CVs everywhere. It's a surprisingly close game, but yeah, there comes the surrender. So yeah, GG. It was a good game. It was an interesting game. So they don't play ranked, right? Uh, and yeah, I'm really surprised this guy survived. You know, I could have sworn I saw him get stabbed on TV, but anyway, it was a really interesting game. Yeah, both players pretty similarly matched. Um, and yeah, just like both players had opportunities to win. It was a pretty close game, and hopefully you learned a lot about like unit positioning, and that Su-25 rocket too is really good. Smoke is always useful, but difficult to micro, right? And putting CVs next to your units, and yeah, just flanking, flank, because vehicles have less side armor, which that's what makes flanking good. You flank an infantry squad, it's not very important. You flank a vehicle, you're probably gonna kill it. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one. GG.